Democrats are really asking for more. After getting Republicans to agree to $41 in tax hikes for every dollar in cuts, President Obama and Harry Reid saying we need more revenue. To Brad Blakeman, Malia Lazou, and Guy Benson on the ongoing talks about taxes, but nobody mentioning a thing about cuts. Brad.
Well, the Democrats are addicted to spending. It's a drug. They can't help themselves, but the American people said enough's enough. We've seen the disastrous effects of the first stimulus, $800 billion, where the president cavalierly mimicked his own rhetoric that I guess there weren't enough shovel-ready jobs. We're tired of spending. The GOP is going to stick to their guns. We are no longer going to spend. We don't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem.
I guess, Malia, after the election, you would say that the American people are saying the exact opposite.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not sure who the we is, and I think even the GOP is seeing that they can no longer be that we. At the end of the day, Obama ran on this. Now, 41 to every dollar, I mean, there's lies, damn lies, and then there's statistics, and I'm not going to even get into that unfortunate stat that you just threw out. But at the end of the day, Democrats won. The president won, and he ran on this platform. He didn't run on another platform. And to be quite honest, 7 million Americans agree more with this platform than did with Romney and this idea of austerity.
Guy, again, we can debate the numbers, but the fact of the matter is I think the American public actually thought there would be more balance, according to almost every poll out there, with respect to how we address our fiscal issues. But getting back to what Brad said earlier and the Republicans gathering together, it feels like they're in complete disarray, which is one of the reasons the president has felt so bold to do the things he's done recently.
Right. He's been feasting on GOP disarray. There's no question about that. But I have to crack up at Malia's use of the word austerity. I mean, we are spending $1 trillion per year more than we take in. We are not even remotely close to balancing the budget, and there is zero chance that any degree of tax increases on the so-called rich could even approach fixing that scenario. If you look at, for example, the House Republican budget, which they put out the last 2 years, no Democratic budget for 4 years, the Republican budget looked to curb the rate of growth of spending. It still increased spending, but not by quite as much. That's apparently austerity in the new newspeak that we're hearing from the left, which is just, it bears no relation to reality. And this is the problem. We get sucked into this vortex of nonsense when we are in deep trouble when it comes to debt.
Go ahead, Malia.
I mean, I think the problem is that whether you believe your reality that you live in or we believe our reality that we live in, is that we're actually not coming together to find common ground. Now, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be cuts. I mean, I know that, that I believe that there should be cuts in defense spending. I think we spend a lot of money on defense, 54% of our tax dollars.
That's the one thing Democrats like cutting.
And so then let's start there, because you don't like overspending either. So let's talk about where we can come together on this. We do have to figure out how we support working Americans. And what I don't hear from the Republicans is their solution. What I hear them saying is, we're going to stop progress until we get back in charge,
Brad,
and then we'll get out of this crisis mode.
Brad,
and I don't think that's fair to the American people.
Bring you back in, because I think one of the ironies, one of the things Malia is talking about with defense spending, the notion that perhaps the Republicans won't get in the way of sequester has scared the heck out of Democrats and the White House. So maybe they don't like even cutting defense.
No, we will come to the table in good faith. But look, the reality is this. Yeah, Obama won, but we have divided government. The American people wanted the Republicans to stay in control of the House. It takes 3 to tango in Washington. It takes the White House, the House, and the Senate. It's not Obama's way or the highway, and that's the problem with Democrats. You give them an inch and they take a yard. We are not going to I'm going to tell you, matter of factly, we are not going to agree to more spending. It ain't going to happen. So you can claim that Republicans are being absolutely partisan. We're not. You guys have to get your act together. You haven't been able to produce a budget. You haven't been able to bring down the deficit as you promised, as the president promised in his first term. This runaway spending, this idea that you just soak the rich, there ain't enough rich to soak, and you already got a tax increase. Now let's show a little bit of responsibility and reduce the cost and size of government.
By the way, Malia, it really feels like, and listen, I'm a little familiar with some of your thoughts and your words in the past, that there's a large segment of the Democratic Party or its voters who aren't even looking at this necessarily from a fiscal point of view or economic point of view, but some sort of justice for the wrongs of yesteryear, and whether or not this sinks the entire ship, it's just simply the right thing to do.
I don't know what you mean, if it was the wrongs for yesteryear.
Redistribution of wealth, excessive taxation, demonizing businesses, that kind of stuff.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, you know, this is the evolution of a country here. And every 4 years, we get a chance to choose a different president. And this time we decided not to. You know, so I really don't think that there's a whole lot of...
That's not an economic argument.
But that wasn't his question. His question wasn't about the economics. It was about the politics of it all. And so to respond to your question, I think that D.C. is too partisan. I'm not in D.C. There's a reason why I left D.C. And I think that we actually have to get back to the American people
because we don't have a lot of time
being more
left in a segment. I want to go to you last here, Guy. Where do we go from here? Because the president does feel like he's emboldened, that he's got the wind in his sails, and they're going to ask for more taxes.
Yeah, they already are, and he said that in a couple interviews over the weekend. The president got his tax win. He taxed those millionaires and billionaires that he was railing about on the campaign trail. He did it in the fiscal cliff deal. That book is now closed. The question is, what are we going to do about our entitlements, which by far are the biggest drivers of our debt? And that's a question that he hasn't answered, that the Senate certainly hasn't answered. And by the way, the president just today missed yet another budget deadline, his fourth in his 5 years in office, which is unprecedented.
Well, I got to tell you guys right now, and to your point, Guy, the entitlements will not be addressed, I don't think, over the next 4 years. There'll be deflection, and we'll see what happens. A lively debate. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, Charles.
All right, guys, let's